In the beginning, we thought, look, we're going to make hardware, and we're going to make hardware that's pretty complex, a smartphone, and then we're going to make it available in so many different markets. So we're thinking of software companies like Facebook, and even for a software company, they start with a very small niche group of users. So in Facebook's case, they started with Ivy League universities in the US, eventually expanding to more universities in the US, and then the entire world.
Right.
But for us, after you ship a piece of hardware, it's really hard to change things. And we didn't have the opportunity to do testing all around the world before launching it in our 17 countries. So we said, hey, let's also control our risks. Let's launch in a smaller batch first, see the reaction, and then scale up. Because we don't make any money on our smartphones. So if we end up in the case where we have too many phones and not enough sales, then we will go bankrupt from the very beginning. So to control our risks, we designed the invite system. Lowering the cost, but not the quality, we hope to acquire a lot more users a lot faster onto the platform. Once we have tens of millions or hundreds of millions of users, then we can figure out the monetization piece. Very similar to the previous example. In the beginning, when you're building a platform, do not think too much about how you're going to make the money. The first and foremost worry is how are you going to get users onto the platform. And we've seen a lot of services go free, right? Google is the king of free. Gmail is free, search is free, Docs is free. Once you have a platform, you can figure out how to make money. It's pretty funny. So we were speaking to a friend before launching in India, and he was kind of joking with us saying, do you guys know that the market above $300 is only 10%? Do you guys know that the e-commerce market was only 15%? So your total addressable market size is 0.1 times 0.15. But I think we think about the problem in a little bit differently. So if you look at the smartphone market in the US, above $600 before the launch of the first iPhone, that would have been a 0%. So you cannot look at the current market structure. You have to think or have enough confidence that your product can change the dynamics in the market. And if we're trying to build a platform of users who are going to consume software and content and services, people who are buying a smartphone for $100, they don't have the disposable income to do so. So if you look at other platforms, if you look at iOS versus Android, iOS users are much more valuable. Why? Because they have this disposable income, because they have this will to engage with content. I think it's the same. We're already seeing early signs that OnePlus users are a lot more active online, spend a lot more time on the phone, and also spend a lot more money on different stores on the product itself. So it's not just about getting as many users as possible, it's about getting as many good users as possible. And the definition of a good user varies from company to company. And I don't think we're going to make our products a lot cheaper. As I said, we're looking for a lot of users, but only the users that are good. We're not looking to get the first-time smartphone users who are not going to consume software and services. We're building a platform that will have much higher engagement than rival platforms. So we have to be very selective in our user base. India is the biggest market for Google Play, if not the second biggest, in terms of sheer number of downloads.
Yes.
But if you look at revenue, it's nowhere near the top.
Yes.
But I think this is a behavior that will change with time. As people get more and more disposable income, they'll start consuming more services. But I think we're not looking to replicate all the services. There's already a lot of great companies out there, like Dropbox, like Airbnb, who have great services already.
Right.
We have to find a way of making ourselves valuable to them, by making our user base valuable, not just by gaining a lot of users, but rather finding a way of engaging them onto the platform. So we need a meaningful amount of high-quality users. And I think as India's economy progresses, more and more users will be using these services. Right, so Ola Cabs and Ubers already has super high adoption here in Bangalore.
Yes.
It's just a matter of time before we start trying and using more and more services. We're not rolling out our own services.
All right.
We need to build a platform where other people can tap into our user base, and then we can benefit together. Right, so there's already a lot of amazing companies with amazing products. I think as a company, you need to really think hard about what you're good at and really focus on that. If you try and make everything, in the end, you'll end up making nothing well. having invite only, a lot of people would not want to wait for it and they'll buy something else, and we're losing out on demand.
Yes.
And the other is we're tying ourselves to one channel versus many channels. I think invite only is not something we chose to do because it was fun. To control our risks and grow in a more healthy manner, that's why we pursued an invite only manner of sales. And in terms of
still limiting
working with a platform, I know that for a fact a lot of users buy the OnePlus One on Amazon's platform are first-time Amazon users. So what this tells us is that there's a lot of pull towards this brand. So if we were to take this and sell it somewhere else, it might not be as negative as we think, but similarly, if we put this on multi-platform, I don't think the benefit is going to be that great at this point, because we have to understand we're still a very, very new brand, where there's a very small group of fervent users who know about us, and at this point I think they will follow us no matter where we go. At the same time, if we are small, it makes more sense to work more closely and strategically with one partner rather than working with everyone in a non-strategic manner. I think one of the main focuses for the foreseeable future for us will remain the team. How do you build a team that can scale up this company together with us? And I'm a firm believer that in the end, everything is about people. So how do you get the best people who really believe in this idea to work on it together with you? We've been here for half a year. And if you look at the smartphone industry, people rise and fall all the time. Nokia is nowhere to be seen anymore, right? BlackBerry is also irrelevant. We're seeing similar problems with maybe HTC and Sony. So it's really hard to say what's going to happen, but I think the market is big enough, especially in India. It's growing really, really fast. So as long as you stand for something that your users believe in, as long as you keep making great products, I think you'll still have a chance. But if you stop focusing on these things and start looking at marketing and other things as a way of building a company, I think that'll be a risky road to take. US and China are also big markets for us, but if you look at Q1 this year, India is already the biggest because we launched a little bit later in India, so most of the sales happened afterwards. I think in terms of the US, and not just the US but in general, I think that entertainment, technology and music industries are converging. So you see a lot of music stars or entertainment stars in the US becoming tech investors or even starting their own tech companies. I think this is a trend that is going to continue, and to stay relevant we need to also be a part of this. So how can we make ourselves relevant in the broader context of society and not just among tech enthusiasts will be a challenge for us going forward. I think a product is much more than the sum of its parts, right? Sure. And that's why people have began liking the OnePlus One. It's a product that feels great the first time you use it, but also maybe the 100th time you use it. It's a product that will delight you when you open the box. You see all the details, all the thought that was put into it. So I think at the end of the day, we're seeing it in other verticals as well. It's not just what components you have and how you put it together. It's much deeper than that. I think our users, they start to understand it. So we're definitely not going to make entertainment-focused products, nor are we going to have like brand endorsers or like heavy marketing. We'll have to be a lot smarter in how we want to approach this. How do we make ourselves more relevant to popular culture and society? We don't know yet, but you can see the other piece of data you can look at is the entertainment circles are increasingly more and more interested in technology as well. You have movies like The Social Network, you have TV shows like Silicon Valley. So that's why I'm seeing that everything is converging. And how do you stay relevant and how do you carve out a piece for yourself when this happens? That's what we're considering as well, especially in our more developed markets.
So any outcomes of that consideration?
There might be something cool this year.
All right.